Hey guys, it's Aerik Arkadian, and today I'm going to give you my tips on choosing a RAV Vast drum. Now, if you're not familiar with Vast drums, this is what one looks like. I'm going to give you my top tips for choosing the best drum for you. Make sure you watch to the end so I can show you some of the music that I've created using this instrument. Let's get started. Tip number 1, be aware of some regional differences. Depending on where you live, you're going to order from a different site. For orders in the USA, you'll go to vastdrum.com. For orders in Europe, you'll go to ravlabs.com. And of course, you can always go to ravvast.com, which will give you links to both stores, community info, and some tutorials on how to play. The reason you want to take this info into consideration very early on is because the two stores sometimes carry slightly different models. Now, I know for me personally, living in the US, if I got my heart set on one of the European models and then found out I couldn't get it here, I would be pretty disappointed. So let's just eliminate the possibility of that heartache ever happening to begin with. Tip number 2, decide on your commitment level. Is this an instrument you want to learn and put time and effort into, or is it something that you just want to be able to sit down and play? Are you a musician or someone with musical training, or is this perhaps your first instrument purchase? These are some questions you should ask yourself, and then take a look at the proficiency rating on RAV's website. You'll find easy, medium, and advanced. If your commitment level is low, you'll probably want to stick to something in the easy to medium proficiency levels. In terms of technique, all of the Vast drums are easy to play and can be learned by anybody: children, adults, musicians, non-musicians, etc. The difficulty lies mostly in the scale that the drum is tuned to, which brings us to our next tip. Tip number 3, think about the mood. At its most basic level, this really comes down to two distinctions. Do you want to play in a major key or a minor key? Major keys typically have a happy sound, while minor keys typically sound sad, but it goes so much deeper than that. If you pay attention to the descriptions listed on RAV's website, you can find keywords listed for each particular drum. Things like peaceful, calming, esoteric, dreamy. And you can really use these descriptive terms to your advantage, whether or not you have any sort of musical background. For instance, if you're choosing a drum for a yoga class, maybe try to stay away from anything that says mysterious or esoteric, and stick with something that says peaceful and calming. For those of us with a musical background, please pay close attention to the next tip. 4, don't overthink the mood. If you have knowledge of music theory, you're probably used to hearing scale names like Ionian, Dorian, Aeolian, Lydian, etc. Musicians use these terms to talk about how a series of notes is put together, which really just tells us how much tension is present. Well, you won't find those names here. Instead, you're going to see unique scale names like Arabian Nights, Integral, and Golden Arcadia. I've never seen these scale names used outside of the tongue drum or handpan market. Don't let that throw you off. If you really want to know, you can find a listing of every note that's in the scale name and then sort of reverse engineer the Greek mode that the scale is based off of. But again, try not to overthink it. You can also use the culture description to try to plan the vibe for the type of music that you want to play. You'll find Celtic, Western, Middle Eastern, African, and others. Celtic and Western will pretty much fit into most musical styles, while the others tend to have a more individualized vibe. But again, don't overthink it. Number 5, use your eyes. Check out the different models that are available in your region. Most RAV drums have a blue-green finish, which I think is great, but there are some special models that come in graphite or golden color. If that makes a difference to you, then it's obviously going to limit the particular drum that you can purchase. Honestly, I'm a fan of the standard finish. It's very calming. If I had to choose a color that best represented the tonal characteristics of the Vast drum, that's what it would be. Number 6, consider who you'll be playing with. Okay, you will see you sometimes have 2 different tuning options available when choosing a drum. One of them is 440 and the other is 432. 440 Hertz is the exact frequency measurement for the note A440. This was something that was decided upon a couple hundred years ago by musicians and instrument makers who were tired of playing out of tune with each other. But in 1975, the International Organization for Standardization formally made it an international standard, ISO 16. Entire orchestras tune to this pitch. In fact, most instruments are built with this tuning in mind, and many tuning devices will only recognize this particular set of frequencies. 432 Hertz is really cool too. Some people say that this is the frequency of the universe. Now, I can't substantiate that particular claim, but it is thought to have certain healing properties, and it has been proven to do things like lower heart rate when you're listening to 432 Hertz music. This makes it an excellent choice if you're doing something meditative with your drum like yoga. Unfortunately, 432 Hertz does not play well with 440 Hertz. Let me repeat that. They are not friends. If you listen to a 432 Hertz instrument played alongside regular 440 Hertz music, it will sound slightly flat and out of tune. For that reason, you'll generally want to stick with a 440 Hertz drum if you plan on playing with other people or other instruments. If, however, you're going to specialize in healing music, meditation, or solo play, a 432 Hertz drum might be the best choice for you. Number 7, listen, listen, listen. You could also call this tip, use your ears. RAV has tons of samples online. Sometimes the best way to find out if an instrument is right for you is to hear it being played. So to that end, you can search on RAV's website for their videos, or you can type the scale name into YouTube and see all the performances that come up with that tag. Lots of handpan and tongue drum players will put the scale name in their video title or description, especially if they're showcasing a particular model of drum. Ultimately, there is no one best scale or one best drum. If you like the way it sounds, then you like the way it sounds. Stick with what inspires you to create music. Oh, and speaking of listening, let me show you something I made.
Reverberations fading, still and intoxicating.
That performance used a RAV bass drum in B Celtic minor, plus a few audio samples that I made in Ableton Live. I used a budget-friendly AKG condenser microphone to record with, plus a few basic audio effects and production. It doesn't take much to make these things sound great. Tip number 8, shop smart. RAV has sales. If you play your cards right, you can find a deal and save some money. Oh, and just for my subscribers here, RAV has given me a discount code that you can use for your order. The code is Aerik. That's AERIK. That'll save you some money if you're looking to purchase a drum. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe here on YouTube. Follow me on Facebook at Aerik Arkadian. And if you'd like to help support me making more content in the future, you can check out my Patreon page at Aerik Arkadian. Remember, there's always a way to make music. Until next time.